preconceived notion that I'm being forced or pressured by my parents to wear a scarf. But if I was a boy, people wouldn't think that. They'd think it was just part of his religion. But it's part of my religion too, and it's my own choice.
This is going to sound remarkably dense, but that doesn't really tell me why you're a feminist. It tells me that you wear a hijab because you choose to. However, preconceived notion does derive from some rather interesting stories of the larger Islamic nations enforcing dress codes where you must wear a hijab, even though it is not illegal, and certainly it is not in the Quran that you must wear it.
بعضی شرایط در گذشته بوده، حالا هم هست، مورد تهاجم واقع میشه و وظیفه همه ماست که حفاظت بکنیم از این سرمایه عظیم فرهنگیمون.
به عنوان یک شهروند ایرانی به نظر شما پوششتون الان درسته؟ شما
من نه شلوارم کوتاه مانتو که
نه، از نظر به اصطلاح موهاتون که الان بیرونه، شالی که رو سرتونه، به نظر شما الان پوششتون صحیح از نظر خودتون؟
خب من فقط الان موهام وارد داره.
اگه ممکنه بله دیگه، فقط موهاتون الان بیرون، شالتون رو زحمت بکشین درست کنین. سارافون تنتون هستن از نظر حجاب اسلامی الان این مانتو به عنوان یه پوشش قابل قبول نیست.
چرا؟ خب آستین که داره.
نه دیگه، این سارافون الان تو تنتون که هست. قبول ندارین سارافون تنتونه؟
خب سارافون با مانتو چه فرقی داره؟ مانتو حالا آستیناش چسبیده به این دیگه.
حالا تشریف بیار اینجا. وقتتون بخیر. شما به عنوان یه همشهری، یه هموطن ایرانی، پوششتون از نظر اسلامی، از نظر عرف جامعه اشکال نداره به نظر خودتون؟ به نظر خودتون خانم محترم اشکال داره یا نداره؟ الان قبول دارین که اشکال داره دیگه؟ هم شالتون نازکه، موهاتون کلا بیرونه، مانتوتون تنگ کوتاهه. لطف کنین تعویض کنین. یه جوری بگردین که مغایر این عرف جامعه ما نباشه تو این مملکت.
Also with what the Quran teaches and how failed integration is continually happening with Muslim families who come to Western countries. It is always assumed that Muslim parents who have come here and are therefore the first don't integrate properly and still enforce their own cultural ideals, some of which are more forceful. As far as if you were a boy and it would be considered a part of your religion, it actually works for both of you, as it is written within the Quran that both men and women should dress with modesty. So I guess current year isn't going to be the year that we see all Muslim men rocking the mankini.
Because I believe that the language of feminism...
Okay, before we continue, I have to get something to eat, and I have something special in that this one was sent to me by a man. This had better be special to not be made by a kitchen dweller.
So we're going to go ahead and make what's known as the grandfather of all sandwiches.
Apocalypse.
Why is it called the apocalypse?
I don't know. Why?
Because this sandwich is freaking apocalyptic. It is the biggest, best sandwich you have ever seen in your life, and I believe you should give it the respect it deserves. Oh my god, I'm dropping shit. We got Kobe Jack cheese, Cajun turkey, roast beef, cracked pepper turkey, as provolone, chicken breast, sandwich pepperoni, white American. Final ingredient that we all must remember, and that is A1 steak sauce.
One eternity later.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the apocalypse.
Okay, so the apocalypse was made by The Orange. Please check him out. Let's now continue with this.
Because I believe that the language of feminism gives us the tools to be able to identify the issues facing women around the world today, the problems, and to be able to take a stand against them.
Rather than put on the tinfoil hat or just jump down the obvious MRA route of shouting, but what about the men, and reading off a list of problems men face, I want to instead use this. The number of children in the world, 2.2 billion. The number in poverty, 1 billion. Okay? For the 1.9 billion children from the developing world, there are 640 million without adequate shelter, 400 million with no access to safe water, and 270 million with no access to health services. Children out of education worldwide, 121 million. Health for children worldwide, 2.2 million children die each year because they are not immunized. Rather than using gender here, why not focus on the fact there are worldwide concerns facing the young, and the old of course, but you instead play gender politics. You focus on the women. I mentioned 121 million children out of education. 45 million of those are men or boys. What are you going to do to help them? We have all this good in the West, but we still have people here that suffer. You're not thinking to address these issues and actually do anything about them. You just want to highlight and recognize, because recognize is your buzzword. Now, before I go off on a complete tangent, I would like to go back to the part where you said the language of feminism. The language of feminism discriminates against mostly the straight white man, who is seen as the absolute enemy in the entire developed world. It throws its support behind regressive ideals and cults, movements, hateful, violent groups, all the while claiming victim for all except the straight white man.
I'm a feminist because it's the 21st century and we're still asking the victims what they wore that night instead of actually condemning the action such as sexual harassment.
Okay, well, first things first, current year is not a valid argument for anything. Not joking. And what the victim was wearing is quite a common thing for law enforcement to ask when they try and ascertain all the facts before they take it to court. If a random person or group of people or group of friends are asking these questions, they're not very good friends. And rape is not the same as sexual harassment, so the question of what was she wearing doesn't really fall with sexual harassment as much as it does with rape.
I am a feminist because I want to feel safe when I am outside after dark.
The last thing you'd want to be doing then would be putting yourself behind a movement that reinforces the idea, the myth of rape culture, which has been debunked multiple times. I would also say if you are one of those people who doesn't feel safe walking home at night or going out at night because you think you're going to be assaulted, chances are you have either been believing something that has been known to be a lie for too long, or you live in a terrible community and I recommend you and your family move out of it, or get more involved in the community to improve it.
Coming from a place, an all guys environment where there's a lot of casual sexism, I think it's pretty important that we get rid of.
You came from an all-guy environment, huh? Does this mean that we should also get rid of all girl environments because we want to make sure there's proper integration between the sexes?
I was catcalled and I was in my school uniform, which is disgusting and perverted, and thus far the feminist movement has been mostly inclusive and supportive of like white women, whereas it needs to include people of colour and particularly women of colour.
Catcalling aside, because let's face it, anyone has the potential to be or to catcall. That makes sense. Yes. As far as the feminism needs to be more inclusive of other races, we have intersectional feminism, which basically colour codes you and assigns you a victim status based on your gender, your genders, your pronouns, and your colour.
Because I want to be able to argue and I want to be able to express myself without being told that I'm on my period for having a view.
Rather than seeking to censor someone because they've said something stupid to try and silence you, you don't need feminism for this, by the way. All you need to do is calmly tell them that is not a valid criticism of what you are saying, or what you feel. Feels are important to an extent. But if you are discussing, debating, arguing, anything really involving verbal communication, you can easily and calmly diffuse that person without feminism, just a rational mind.
I'm a feminist because I believe in equality. That's it.
I also believe in equality, but I am not a feminist, because I've seen what feminism really does. It does not push for equality at all.
I'm a feminist because my brother was given a hard time when he showed interest in things like music and drama, while my sister was teased when she started playing football. And I believe that people are much more than the labels and the stereotypes which society tries to define them by, and they should be allowed to do and pursue whatever they want.
While I can certainly empathise with the whole what people expected of me, I made my decision for myself. Because I wanted this. I don't like the idea that people want a label so that they can be protected from other people's judgment. We all judge each other regardless. In fact, I would say feminism, social justice, regressive libtards discriminate more than anyone else and would judge you more, especially those that identify as intersectional or mixed race or use these random genders, orientations, sexualities and blah 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 because they want to be the very best victim.
I'm a feminist because the world would be a better place if females have all the same opportunities as males.
If you are talking about the entire planet, I could say you are right. We do need equality for all around the world. But I doubt you are, and in our countries, women have more rights than others, certainly more opportunities when you include things like affirmative action. If you go to other countries where women are considered to be oppressed, or countries where men are denied basic rights, or we just call that the West, just for the sake of it, and India, you notice that equality can easily be obtained if we just treat people the same way and stop using gender as an excuse to treat people differently.
I'm a feminist because my mum was asked in Australia by a lady, you only have 2 daughters, no sons. What are you going to do when they grow up? Who's going to take care of you? And that just shocks me because I'm as capable as a son to take care of my parents.
I can safely tell you I have no idea how I'm supposed to answer this. I could tell you that women are very good caregivers, so you are right, you could in fact look after your mother. Now, as far as those ladies' comments go, I'm not entirely sure how feminism is going to help you, short of putting you in an Australian safe space. I'm not sure where that is. I assume a different wing of your prison.
I'm a feminist because I believe in equality. I believe in the rights of women. Women should feel safe. They should feel comfortable. They have a right to be educated as much as males are educated. They have a right to equal pay. They do just as much work, if not more, in so many different environments. And so it's about identifying that women are an important part of us as a species, as a race.
Women do have the right to equal pay. In some instances in Australia, they get more money even though they do less work. It has been proven there is no such thing as a wage gap. There is an earnings gap. It is not the same thing. You mentioned equal rights to education. They already have that. In fact, in some instances they have more than that, where they have affirmative action giving them places due to quotas for gender. You talk about feeling safe. You don't need feminism for that. You need a solid community. A good one, and not ones that hide away and allow people to act irresponsibly outside. You're a feminist because you believe in equality. You're not a feminist. Although I'm not going to tell you what you are because I personally could not care less about labels. I just find it interesting that those that keep pushing these labels are generally not actually for equality at all. You mentioned identifying that women are important. That is similar rhetoric to what I heard ANZ say, where they are the most important part to any community. Everyone is important to the community. Everyone. Everyone plays a part if they want to be a part of it. If they don't, they're pathetic. They're a nobody. Chances are, though, they're probably a feminist.
Because why wouldn't you be? Because everyone should be a feminist. And it's basic human right to be respected as a human being no matter what gender you are.
Because everyone should be a feminist. I can't think of a more appropriate way to end this video, but I am going to politely decline. I don't want to be a feminist. I will never be a feminist. The evidence is too compelling to walk away from any ideology so blatantly hateful.
My nigga.